अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। न अन्तः प्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं न उभयतः प्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञम् अदृष्टम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारम् प्रपञ्च उपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः। So just to review the connection in the topic that we are currently looking at, which is in the form of an examination of our own sampradaya, our own way of understanding, our understanding. So, so here, please see this, that whenever we discuss viewpoints other than Advaita Vedanta, it is not to compare and contrast for the sake of it, not to brag about what we are talking about, none of that. In fact, it is a self-examination. One incident that comes to my mind, it was interesting, I think I've talked about it, that several years back, probably right after we came back from PRC and after the course in 1982, and I started, some teaching in our home and so on. So there was a request made to me to participate in a discussion with other religious groups, because this is what normally the complaint is, that when it comes to Islam or Christianity or Judaism or Buddhism, all these other views, there are plenty of people ready to talk. But when it comes to Hinduism, there's really a dearth, and most people don't volunteer to talk. So there was this talk in Palo Alto, and somebody requested me, and he said, you have come back from a very thorough course on Hinduism, and so it looks like you're very qualified, and we are having this interreligious conference. Can you please come? So in my I would say foolishness or whatever, I said, okay, I'll come. So I went there. And I learned such a lesson from there because it was a complete waste of time. And there were, 20, 30 people sitting in the audience, and I'm not sure where they all came from. That was part of it. Who is it that you're going to talk to? Anyway, we were all given, 10 minutes to talk about our own viewpoint. And so I did. In 10 minutes, what can you do? Then there was a Muslim gentleman who talked about Islam, etc., etc. And there weren't any questions. People just kind of looked at everybody, a couple of people make notes, and then this was the end of it. And I said, you know what? This is not, why are we doing this? Is this to present some kind of a discussion amongst people that don't agree? If you're a Christian or a Muslim person, you proselytize by going after somebody and then really explaining what it is. That's fine, that's good. And so if that was the opportunity, that is okay. But in this case, it is useless. So Swami Dayanandji and then Swami Akhandananda also, exactly the same question. They said that many times the question answers that we talk about is embedded in our own presentation. And the reason that it is embedded in the own presentation and in talking our own teaching is that we want to examine and purify our own understanding about our own sampradaya. Because this is part of the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, is that you have to examine what the Shruti is saying and what your understanding is. And one of the ways to do that is to ask some questions, tough questions, and said, see, you have the ability to answer it. So this whole, Purva Paksha Siddhanta, this is what is called Purva Paksha Siddhanta. Purva Paksha means some other Paksha, some other way of looking at it. And Siddhanta is how do we answer it. So this is a very useful technique, not to impress anybody, but to increase our own understanding. This is the thing. So here, in the introduction to the famous mantra that we are doing, Swami Akhandananda proposes, and I think if you look at the back 3 or 4 classes, this is what we were doing, proposes, why don't you accept our way of looking at it? This is what is called a manufactured akshepa. Akshepa means questioning. Questioning means doubting. And so this is a manufactured, means that you have to really ask the question in order to purify your own understanding. This is what the context is. So he had said, as you know, 3 important akshepas in the form of a Purva Paksha. 3 of them that we should ask ourselves and to see whether we have the ability to answer it. And the way to do that is to see what does our own Shruti, our own masters, our own acharyas, our own gurus, how will they answer it? So this is why, exactly, in our way of looking at it, we don't really encourage interruptions and in the middle of a talk. We say we are going to raise objections on our own. You listen. You listen. Generally, what the Sampradaya says is that you don't have the ability to ask tough questions yet. We're sorry to say you haven't really developed your understanding that yet. So let me actually enhance your ability to question. And then we will answer it. And you just sit there and listen. You know, there's a famous way of looking at it. So in the various Adi Shankara's establishments in Kanchi and all the other places. So you know what is said is that the Shankaracharyas, all of these religious people have their own way of choosing what the next one is. Buddhists, for example, Dalai Lama. How did they choose a Dalai Lama? On what basis? So what the Shankaracharya mutts do, all the 4 mutts in India, what they do is who becomes the next Shankaracharya? So we are told that the way this is done is that the Shankaracharyas, of course, have a social structure. There's a people that come and listen to the classes. They chant, they learn the chanting. Then they bring their children also to get them introduced. All of that happens. So one of the things that the Shankaracharya, the reigning Shankaracharya does is observe the young kids. Boys, actually, that's the tradition. Girls don't become Shankaracharyas. It's not as though women don't understand, but just the social structure is that the Shankaracharya is a male. So anyway, he observes all the kids, male kids, and watches them, how their behavior is. Are they attentive? Are they calm? And these things, slowly after 6, 7, 8 years, you can easily tell the disposition of a young kid. Finally, they make some mental decisions. This is the person. This is the person that I think is fit to become the next Shankaracharya. And at some point in time, the Shankaracharya, along with his very close staff, they kind of said, this is the next one. And I don't know the exact process of whether they approach the families or whatever it happens. So now comes the interesting thing. If you choose a person as the Shankaracharya, which means a Atmagyaha, because the Shankaracharya means that he's the very repository of knowledge. So you cannot address that person directly. So this is what Swami Dayananda used to explain to us, that what is done is, there is a class going on, and this class is for adults who are willing to understand and listen. And this kid, who they have already designated as the next Shankaracharya, is asked to sit on the side. And you don't even look at the person. You're not supposed to look at the person, because this is like a representative of Ishvara. So you don't do that. But in the process of teaching everyone else, you indirectly teach this person as well. And slowly that person absorbs and becomes, so this is a process that has happened. The reason I'm saying this is that you have to examine your own understanding, and you do it indirectly. You don't directly say, hey, me, I'm telling you. You can't do that. You're not, that person is not available. So when you read, listen, study, you are really examining your own mind. Hey, mind, be educated. Because the mind is the one, mind is not you, but the mind is the one that creates a certain obstacle in your understanding. So to remove that obstacle, you have to address the mind. Swami Chinmanand used to say that. I remember this so well. I was not with Swami Chinmanand for that long, maybe a couple of years, but some of his examples and ways of teaching really stick to me. I don't need to get reminded and so on. Same thing with all the other acharyas. But he used to say that. He says, when you are teaching others, and this is the value of teaching. I'm very grateful that I have an opportunity to do that to you, and you are loyal. Some of you are loyal enough to stick with me for so long. And the value of that is that I'm teaching you, but I'm also teaching my mind. And when I raise objections, do this akshepa, it's as though I am, comparing Advaita, Vedanta with others and so on. No. You are addressing the akshepa of your own mind. And so to manufacture that akshepa and then to answer it is a very beautiful way to understand, to let your mind understand. Because really speaking, as I was saying earlier, the only thing that's keeping you from yourself is this obstacle of the doubts of the mind. That's exactly what happens. So there's sunlight all over, but some clouds are blocking it. You don't have to manufacture the sunlight, it's already there. But it's very possible that some things are blocking it, and you need to remove that. Or just wait slowly for it to go away. Anyway, all of this was separate. So going back to the three questions that are manufactured by the Vedantins, and say, you ask us this. And the way it is done is that you tell the Purva Pakshi, why don't you accept what we are telling you? Is it because, so the three things are given, is it because you don't see a benefit of the way we are presenting it? Phalam? Is that one of your doubts? Or is it that there is no pramana? There is no proof. Number two. And the third one is sadhana. How do you do this? So in the process of examining all three, some clarity of understanding of what our issues are comes up. So we've already pretty much we have completely done the one on Phalam. Done that, okay? Then we are on the tail end of the second one today. We've already been examining it. That what is pramana? And then when we're finished with this, we'll go to sadhana. This will take quite a while. A huge discussion by Swami Akhandananda. Amazing. And so I'll try to pick out the salient points from it, otherwise it'll just take forever. So let's go back and complete what we started with the question of pramana. proof. What is the proof? So, in revising this is really a very key part of our understanding, is the fact that the existence of me, my existence, you can say the existence of Atma. Atma means I, the real Vastu, the real entity that I'm talking about. That entity does not need a pramana. This is a very important thing to see. It's like the beginning of the whole search for I. So this should be, if you're talking about doing Malanam and so on, Nididhyasanam, so one should just see, do I need a pramana? I don't. We've already discussed that I am does not need a pramana. What I am needs some discussion, and we will do that a little bit. In a little while, not a little bit, but in a little while. But the fact that I am doesn't need a pramana. Number one. Number two, that I know that I am also doesn't need a pramana. Not only is if you were to tell somebody, hey, do I exist or not, that's an idiotic statement, idiotic thought. Equally idiotic is somebody asking somebody, do you know that, do I know that I exist? Can you please tell me? You can just say everything. How do I look? You do some, you get a haircut, which I did just recently. And then you say, is this okay? That you can do. Then you can say, my clothes. Am I wearing the right clothes? You can do that. All of those kinds of things do. But a question, just imagine. This is a very important thing, because the most important thing, my existence, my awareness, and the fact that there is no limitation to it. It's not as though, when you say, this is what is called Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So the fact that I'm Sat, the fact that I'm Chit is obvious. Not only that, does this ever end? If you say it ends, when does it end? Does it end in the evening? In the evening you don't know that you are? Or in a state of some disturbance, you have a disturbed mind? Or that you are very calm and collected? In any of the conditions, is it ever possible that you forget that you are? Not possible. That is called Anantam. See, the Anantam would be a doubt if you don't know how long you're going to live. That's okay. That doubt is very possible. I don't know how long do I have more to live. Valid question. But that valid question is with respect to your taking up an existence as the body. Not the fact that you are. That you are Sat Swarupa. Never. And you know, the funny part is, which we'll take up next, is why don't I? This is the most obvious and really the most important thing. If you just knew you are Sat Swarupa, you're done. Because the very definition of Sat is Nirapekshaha, without any relativity, not even a relativity of time or space or anything. This is what is called Sat. See, the definition of Sat is, as you know, we have in the very beginning, from the Tattva Bodha onwards, we said that Vedanta says that there are three possibilities of existence. Three truths. One is, which is always true, regardless of anything else, is called Sat. The second one is no way, not possible to be there, called Asat. And the example we said is, the traditional example is the child of a woman that is not incapable of giving children. Bandhya Putra. But nowadays, with all kinds of medical sciences and so on, I think that example doesn't exist. I think perhaps the most important example is a square circle. There's no such thing as a square circle. So that is called Asat. Then the rest of it is Mithya, which is Sat Asat Bhyam Anirvachaniyam iti Mithya. It is neither Sat nor Asat, it is called Mithya. So in that case, that being the very definition of truth, there is a thing called Sat. And the Sat means, the definition of the Sat means, Satyam or Sat, it is self-existing without any relevance to everything, of anything at all. There's no ifs and buts. It is what it is, independent. This is what Sat is, under all possible conditions. That is really Brahman. That is the very definition of Ishvara, if you want to call it that way. God is that always there, not possible, not dependent on anything. If I knew that is who I am, and that is exactly who I am. It doesn't need any pramana. I'm done. But I feel, no, I kind of like, so I feel you are telling me the truth, but I don't feel that. So we will examine, what do you mean by I don't feel it? What do you do? But at least let's start with the premise that the essential I, the real I, does not need a pramana. That is what this part of this akshepa, the answer to this second akshepa is. Second akshepa is the whole relevance of proof. So the fact that I am Satyam Jnanam Anantam doesn't need any proof. And then we say that if that is the case, okay, let's take the next step from here. If that's who I am, then why don't I feel that? Why don't feeling is always about something else. So that's why the use of the word feeling. So this all has to do with experience. So we look into that sadhana when we come to the sadhana, this whole meaning of the word experience, because we all are experience hunters. I don't have the experience. And so many even wise people who are even Vedantins will say, no, you don't, you're just studying a book and that's not experience. You have to experience it. So we will look into what experience means. It's a very beautiful topic. We'll come to that very shortly. So the question is, why don't I experience it? Or you can say, why don't I know this clearly? So here, what the acharyas say, what our gurus say, what the sampradaya teaches is, believe it or not, you have never thought about it. You haven't thought about it. What? That's all? You can say, why haven't I thought about it? Because no one has taught me. And if no one has taught me, then my life goes on without understanding that. So this is what self-ignorance really means. Self-ignorance means that I take myself to be a living human being. And all of my thoughts and experiences are stemming from the basic idea, the basic conclusion, the basic firm conclusion that I am a living being. Means I am just a limited being. Isn't it? And then my way of looking at everything, including myself, is all stemming from this conclusion that I am a limited living being. And I'm busy. Everybody is doing that. Everybody is busy doing that. That has its own world. Your living being means that you have a body. You cannot just be a ghost. So you take your body as being you. That is what part of the living being is. And then all the various gunas, all the qualities, all the various aspects of the body is also you. That means that you're okay health-wise. You're not okay. You have problems. That you're aging. That you get a disease. You catch a cold. All those kinds of things all stem from the basic idea that I am just a human being. And there are ups and downs. There are periods of joy, periods of lack of joy. All those kinds of things are happening. This is what you're always doing. And if somebody comes up and says, no, you're not just a human living being. Because a human living being means you need to have prana, you need to have life in you. And if somebody says, no, you don't need a life. You don't need a life. When you say, I have a life, what do you mean? This is exactly what it means. I'm a living being. I have some series of experiences. I have a beginning and an end. This is what life means. More than what you say, get a life. Get a life means that you're just wasting your time doing something. Do something, or understand you're okay. Get a life. Be busy. So everything about myself is that I'm a living being. And if somebody comes in and says, you know something, you're more than a living being. Even the question of living or not living, death or living, alive or not, is also a unnecessary aspect of who you are. So you'll say, what? What are you talking about? How can I be somebody who doesn't need to be alive? What? Isn't life is the very fundamental part of existence? So that is what is called lack of vichara. We talk about Swami Khandananda makes this very, very clear in his various discussions and all of them. He says that if you examine your life, you're really just stuck in some very trivial things. So the reason that you fail to recognize that you don't need a pramana is because, first of all, you're just busy in this artificial life. And if there are some voices that say, no, there's something more than that, you ignore it because it doesn't seem possible. And number one. And number two, even after you find somebody who is credible, who seems to know what he or she is talking about from the lineage, For example, when I also started teaching and so on, people would listen to me only because I have a certain assurance that I am learning it from other wise people. Otherwise, if I just call somebody and say, do you know you are the Atma and this is all this and so on, nobody will listen to me. Say, what does this guy know? But at least they're willing to start and listen to me if I tell them, I met Swami Dayanandji, I met Swami Chinmayanandji. They know a little bit about Swami Chinmayanandji and Dayanandji. And then I tell them, I studied a long time and I left my job and I went to an ashram, then they're willing to listen. Oh, maybe something, I should at least give them a try. And then you attend classes and all of that happens. But still, not enough things happen for you to really give it vichara. And until you do vichara, so the crux of all this, I can go on and on, but just to try to wrap this up, our acharyas say the answer to your own doubt as to if I am Sat, Chit and Ananda, why don't I feel? Why don't I know about it? And the answer to that is, you have never thought about it. And even when you are told that you are that, you're not clear about it, to keep your focus on it. You get distracted out of sheer habit, out of the fact that this requires a fundamental change in your lifestyle. For any reasons we can go into it, all kinds of things. So this is what exactly called sadhana chatushtaya. So there is a sadhana, but not for the sadhana of who you are, but to even convince you that I should listen. So the sadhana chatushtaya, which is viveka, vairagya, shatka sampattihi and mukshutvam, needs to be done so that you can take this thing seriously. Otherwise, you are just lost all the time. This is what happens. I've gone through this myself, so I'm able to talk about it. So now we can close off the topic of the second akshepa. First was phalam. Second akshepa is need for a pramana. How do I know? Where does it say? And the reason for that is that you don't need a pramana, but you need to know that you don't need a pramana because you think that I need a pramana. When you say I need a pramana means this is exactly what happens. You should see this as the uniqueness of Advaita Vedanta. The whole thing is not ready yet. We're in the process of doing it. But you need a pramana because pramana means what? Pramana means you're searching for moksha. Already having concluded that I am not free today. I'm not free. I'm very limited. I've got a lot of problems. Life is going slowly. All those kinds of things. Okay. So the question is, how do I gain moksha? How do I gain moksha? So this will come more in the third one, which we will do very shortly. But you need pramana on how to do it. This is what we are doing, everyone. For most of them, this is what is called charvakaha. So charvakaha is Swami Khandananda really made it very clear. I hadn't even thought about it that way. Charvakaha means some people who are espousing what Charvaka says, that there's no other life. This is it, and don't waste any time, just enjoy. Just enjoy. Eat well, have fun. And who says about Atma and all these kinds of things? Don't listen to all. I don't know, they have some kind of an agenda. Don't you see this, they say? Don't you see that life is really full of bhoga? So this is like a pramana. Pramana means that look at your own experience. That when you have security and you have good food and all of that, you're happy. If you don't have it, you're unhappy. So why do you want to be unhappy? Just be happy. Just resort to it. And you say, well, I'm okay, but I don't have a long-term view of it. They'll say, what long-term view? Has anybody come back after death and told you, yes, there is something after death? Has anybody come back and convinced you? So you say, that's right. I have not seen anyone who has still come back and told me. So don't believe in it. So this is called Charvaka. And we have various other stages of people will say, okay. And there's 4 or 5 main ones, which we will hopefully go through in our teaching. One of them is yoga. This is now very, very popular yoga. And the yoga, of course, also has various aspects to it. So one is Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga means that you maintain a good, healthy relationship in the body and take care of it, stretching, etc. Then you go into Jnana Yoga. And the Jnana Yoga means that slowly you remove any thoughts that bother you. And you are good as yourself, and you don't have to take away good thoughts, just remove the bad thoughts. And then you yourself will find that this beautiful thoughtless state called samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. This is kind of like a pramana. The pramana in the sense that if you pursue it, you do find some peace, no doubt about it. Otherwise, there'll be no proof. So yoga system, again, I'm not going to more detail. Then there is bhakti. Bhakti has different aspects to it. One of them, of course, is a very technical doing various rituals because you do rituals not because of anything else, but because you have a certain faith that doing rituals, doing chanting, going to temples, having an Ishtadevata, all of that is a proof of your progress. And it does give you some results. So there is a Shraddha in the proof of all these things. There's lots of other ones also, but these are the possibilities. In the midst of all this, you're told you don't need any pramana. That's totally confusing. How is it that I don't need any pramana? So there, all these doubts are removed by saying you really don't need any pramana, and your insistence that you need pramana is the problem. for something which does not need pramana, if you impose to say, no, no, how can that be true? I do need pramana. What is that pramana? Is the problem. So there, the general introduction to given is you don't need pramana. And the reason that it doesn't need pramana is that you don't yet understand that you don't need pramana. And it's interesting that for a long time, even in my own study, I had not understood this. I am deeply indebted to Swami Akhandananda to make this clear. Because what I used to say is that yes, there is Shastra Pramana, means Shabdat Pramana, means somebody has to introduce yourself to it. All that was true, I agree. It's not as though that but I was skimming on the surface of this, thinking that the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, of the Upanishad, that you are okay the way you are, somehow did not quite have the same effect until it was made clear that look at it. Do you need for pramana to say that you are Sat Swarupa? I tell you, that just made a tenor all of a sudden that I could tell I am the Sat Swarupa. I will go into that in more detail. So anyway, so the second akshepa, that where is the proof? And the answer is you don't need a proof. You are the only thing that it doesn't need a proof. And why is it that you don't understand it? Because of the lack of vichara. And why? And vichara means a method of inquiry. So this is where all the teaching comes in. And then say, this is how you do vichara. Because I'm used to doing vichara from a laukika standpoint, from a worldly standpoint, but not from this standpoint. And the more you look at it and say, I see. So this is the second topic of there's another thing that I want to go over. I meant to do that. So this is a huge topic by itself, but I think I want to mention this with respect to the topic of why don't I understand that I don't need a pramana. Okay? So this is another aspect of that. So let's add to it. I had decided to go over to the new topic a little bit too soon because I think this will be a good thing to do. So this has to do with, this is a huge topic and we will be talking more about it. This has to do with the definition of what is called upadhi. So you'll say, what does upadhi have to do with lack of vichara and lack of pramana needed? So for that, let's briefly look at what the definition of upadhi is. The word upadhi means it has a prefix and the main verb. The prefix is upa, and the main noun is adhi. So upa and adhi. Upa means very near. Near. When you say very near, not necessary to say very near, near. It means upa. Adhi has two meanings, both complementary and very similar. One meaning is firmly established, seeming to be true. The second meaning is disease. Huge discussion in one of the books by Swami Akhandananda. I didn't know that until somehow that had never come up in this detail in our previous classes. So Adi has two meanings. One is firmly established and the other one has some problems with it. It's like a disease. Disease means something that is not natural. So the word disease is also interesting. Dis-ease. So it creates a non-ease, and it also means, disease also means, it is temporary. Most diseases there's very few diseases that are, you can say that, I have discovered that I have a fourth case cancer and they've given me 3 months to live. So that's the only time when it kills you. But most diseases embrace you and then leave you. This is called disease. So Adi can also mean a disease, but regardless of that, it is stuck to you. This is the meaning of the word upadhi. And the reason that we mention this is because it is another factor why don't I do vichara. Why is it that I don't do vichara? And first of all, again, nobody has told me this. And even after somebody tells me this, I still don't do vichara. I find myself, you just examine the day, supposing you are a very student of Vedanta. You say, this is good stuff, I have to do that. Examine your day. What do you do? Yeah, this would be a very good self-examination. You write down maybe once an hour. What did you do in the last hour? Maybe once every 2 hours if you don't want to spend that much time. Just make a diary. This is when you are a so-called committed, Shraddhavan, not just an ordinary person, but you are really committed to it. You find, my God, this is good stuff. That person. I consider most of you like this because you attend classes very regularly. And so you need just take an inventory of your day. What will you find? You'll find from 7 to 8, you were just waking up, getting ready, this, that, or the other, brushing your teeth, whatever. Then 8 to 9, you had breakfast. Now, perhaps you wanted to do some meditation. I don't know how regularly you have the time to do study in the morning. So you can include that. So that's very relevant, some meditation and so on. But then it'll start at, say, 10 o'clock. This is when, if you're going to office, then you're busy with the office, some work. Supposing you are completely retired, and but still, Then you turn the TV on to see what's happening, who Trump has now appointed, or you take your laptop out and you start looking at emails from people. Just do this inventory the whole day long. And what you find is that your life is governed by the upadhis that you have adopted. Upadhi, I think the most beautiful example of that is colored glasses. So when you put a colored glass on, then everything looks as the color of the glass. If you put on blue color glasses, that what you look at is colored by the color blue. Take it off, put yellow ones, everything looks yellow. So upadhi is something which, being very close to you because you are wearing glasses that's right next to your eyes, unimpeded the world looks one color. Impeded with this, the world looks like a different color. So now this is a very important study of the analysis of upadhi in your life. There is the upadhi of the mind, upadhi of vasanas in the form of likes and dislikes. It's an upadhi. If you look at a person, not everybody looks at the person the same way. When you look at the person based on your background, your vasanas and all of that, you have an upadhi of the vasanas, upadhi of your mind, the way it works, and that person looks differently to you. This is the upadhi. And we will be studying this in more detail. But you have the upadhi of a waking person. While you are awake, you are a Vishwa. You are a waking person upadhi. And when you go to dream, you don't have the mind at all. There is a complete lack of the mental upadhi. And when you're dreaming, you have the upadhi of a dream character, of a dreamer. It's totally different from the waking one. So I won't go any more detail on this, but really what happens now is that the reason you do not do vichara about the fact that you are satyam jnanam anantam, which doesn't need any proof, any pramana, is because you are employing you're very busy with your life through the upadhi. You have not understood that you are living you're looking at yourself and the world around you through an upadhi. And the upadhi is very temporary. And as a result, based on the definition that we saw earlier, so first of all, adi means, upa means that it's very close to you. Why is it so close to you? Because the mind is not separate from you. It is kind of separate, but appears not to be separate. It becomes part of you. So it is upa. Secondly, until this is pointed out, it is firmly established. When you are a waking person, you don't really think about, oh, I'm just a waking person. I'm also just, this is very temporary. I'll have a different experience pretty soon. All those kind of things don't appear. You just say, this is who I am. So it is firmly established. And the second meaning of adi is it creates a problem for you. It's a disease. The fact that I want to be alive is a disease. You don't need to be alive. You are already beyond death already. You don't need to be alive. Whatever you are possibly getting by being alive from time to time, you will, once you understand it, you are much beyond that. Shivam. This is what we will study in much more detail. So who am I? Right now it is na iti, neti, neti. Means that this also is a glass, take it off. That's that glass, yellow glass, take it off. Who are you who is different from the different glasses? But at least start by saying that I am not, that this is a colored glass that I'm. Be aware of the fact that you're wearing a colored glass. Because right now we don't. And that is the reason. So the fact that I'm not wearing a colored glass is the vichara. That I'm not capable of doing yet. I don't do it because it's not clear to me that my view of the world as well as myself, all combined together, is really an upadhi. Right? So I think there's quite a few other things to talk about in this topic, but I think I would like to go ahead and wrap up this second section. I didn't even think that it would take me this long, but because I have more details about the implications of upadhi, Jiva Shrishti, Ishvara Shrishti, Vyashti, Samashti, those are all upadhis. And very beautiful analysis, really. But I think that I will discuss that some other time, making the upadhi and the implications of upadhi as a separate topic. I think it will come somewhere later. But in terms of this analysis of the three types of akshepa, which is phalam with pramana and with sadhana, I think I will wrap up the topic of pramana, and in the next time when we meet, we will straight away get into the third important analysis of the siddhanta for these purva paksha, which is need for a sadhana. Okay, so I have a little bit more time, but I think that I will not start this other topic, which is a major topic, which will take some first time to look at it. So let's, wrap up this class. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Pramana and with sadhana, I think I will wrap up the topic of pramana, and in the next time when we meet, Surendra, I got your email and I will respond to you. So I didn't get a time to do that, so I will do that sometime, hopefully today. Raj Velpuri says, is darshana and pramana the same? Not really. Darshana is a very broad subject. Pramana is very specific. Pramana means proof. Darshana means seeing something. So one can say that seeing something is slightly different, because you're just seeing something, but the pramana means the analysis of, pramana means the analysis of how you are seeing. So they're related, but they're slightly different. Darshana is also possibly used, as I said, I think it's a very broad word with multiple uses. Darshana can also means a way of looking. In that sense, perhaps I can see the similarity. So, they say that we have this Shad Darshana. Shad Darshana. So the very famous Astikyam and Anastikyam. So the Astikyam has the Shad Darshana, which is Purvamimamsa, Uttaramimamsa. Then it has Sankhya, then Yoga, and then Vaisheshika, and Nayayika. So these are the Shad Darshana. Shad Darshana means 6 ways of looking at the truth. And so that those are also like systems or beliefs. That's also another word explanation for the darshana. Or you can even say trying to prove, because each one of them has this sense of what the proof is. So in that sense, they have similar between pramana, but they are different words. They're a slightly different way of expression. Pramana, of course, means that there are different ways of proof. One is pratyaksha, one is anumana, and then arthapatti and anupalabdhi, and one of them is shabda pramana. And so, generally speaking, the shabda pramana is the Vedanta, but within the Vedanta, it's, as we have been discussing, that the reality does not need any pramana at all. It is obvious, and and then the only thing that needs to be done is that all the doubts about that fact have to be taken up. But by itself, it doesn't need any pramana. So that's a more subtle way of looking at Shabda Pramana, as we've been discussing. All right, if there's no other question, then hopefully I'll see you next time. Hari Om.